What up, nerds? My name's Ryan. I did my HSC in 2019, and in this video, I'm going to guide you through an essay paragraph that I wrote on love and relationships in the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime. Firstly, I'll analyze a series of quotes, and then I'll show you how I used them in an example paragraph that I actually used in my HSC. Click the link in the top right to see the full playlist for the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime. In the first quote, Christopher states, "Sad is what I felt when I found the dead dog." Now, in the Christopher's unique personal voice video, which you can go to by clicking the link in the top right now, I explored a series of quotes that showed how Christopher sees a reflection of himself in dogs due to their limited emotional range. And the simplicity of the language in this quote is further evidence of that. So, sad when I found the dead dog. It's very simple language. And this gives us an indicator that his emotions do not run as deep. They are not as visceral as the average person. We see more of this rigid simplicity in the next quote. "You get married because you want to live together and have children." He's not saying that some people get married because they live together and have children. He's not even saying that a lot or most people get married because you want to live together and have children. He's saying you get married because you want to live together and have children. There's no flexibility in the statement. It's very rigid. It's very explicit. And he misses a very crucial point, or at least a point that most people would consider crucial, that being the romantic and loving aspect of marriage, the bonding aspect of a relationship, rather than the mere functionality of raising children and living in the same quarters. So I say that this quote is further evidence of his rigid conception of various emotions, in this case, romantic love. He also has difficulty expressing this easily because of his condition. He doesn't feel comfortable with physical contact. And we see that in this quote. "Sometimes father wants to give me a hug, but I do not like hugging people. I do not like hugging people. So we do this instead, and it means he loves me." So by do this instead, he's referring to spreading his hands out and touching fingers. And he explicitly states, "It means he loves me." He has to draw the path from physical contact to evidence of love. It's not implicitly obvious to him. It's something that needs to be defined for him. So again, further evidence that his conception and his experience of emotion is different to that of the average person. We see some more rigidity in his definition of what loving someone entails when he says, "Loving someone is helping them when they get into trouble and looking after them and telling them the truth." And by this definition, Christopher does love his father, because for the majority of the time, the father helps him when he gets into trouble. He looks after him ever since his wife left, especially. And Christopher at least thinks that he's been told the truth, at least at page 59. These pages are referring to the PDF version, by the way. But when his father essentially betrays him by killing Wellington, and Christopher discovers that incredible scene where Christopher discovers the notes from his mother that he thought was dead, but she's actually alive and she's been writing to him this whole time, his love for his father disappears because the definition is broken, right? Remember, the definition was helping them when they get into trouble. That still applies. Looking after them, that probably still applies. But the telling the truth, that's broken. His father has not told him the truth. And therefore, in Christopher's mind, he has no love for his father. The love is gone because his definition is broken. And then that leads us to this very heartbreaking scene where this is his father talking to him. "You have to learn to trust me, and I don't care how long it takes. This is more important. This is more important than anything else." His father is desperate. And the reason is, in my mind, the entire reason why this is such a heartbreaking quote is because ever since the mother left, Ed's primary purpose in life has been taking care of Christopher. He's invested so much love and so much effort and so much time into caring for Christopher that Christopher is most of what is on his plate, right? It's most of his life. It's the priority. It's the top priority in his life. And he's lost that. That's why he's so desperate. That's why he doesn't care how long it takes. And as we know, the novel, somewhat annoyingly, does not end on a nice resolution. And it just further represents the complexity and difficulty of a relationship with Christopher due to his difference in the conception of love and emotions more broadly. And so now I'll show you how I use them in an example paragraph. I'll read it through first, and then I'll explain the structure, the techniques, and the generalized thought process that went into writing it. People can experience and express love in different and varied ways. This is especially true of people on the autism spectrum. Christopher's relationships are unique and complex due to his inability to feel love for others in the same way they feel love for him. For example, he sees a piece of himself in dogs due to their limited emotional range. He explains, "Sad is what I felt when I found the dead dog." His simple language shows how his emotions do not run as deep as the average person. Additionally, Christopher's perception of romantic love is similarly rigid. You get married because you want to live together and have children. Although true, Christopher misses a crucial point, the romantic and loving aspect of marriage. Furthermore, due to his condition, Christopher feels very uncomfortable with physical contact. Instead of hugging, he shows affection to his loved ones by spreading his hand out and touching fingers, as he explains, "Sometimes father wants to give me a hug, but I do not like hugging people, so we do this instead, and it means that he loves me." Early in the novel, Christopher gives the very specific definition, "Loving someone is helping them when they get into trouble and looking after them and telling the truth." By this definition, Christopher does love his father. However, once he discovers that his father has murdered Wellington and lied to him about his mother, the definition is no longer fulfilled and his love is gone. In a heartbreaking display of unrequited tenderness, his father begs him for forgiveness. "You have to learn to trust me, and I don't care how long it takes. This is more important than anything else." Ever since his wife left, caring for Christopher was Ed's primary purpose in life. The use of ellipsis emphasizes just how much the relationship means to him. The novel ends without a clear restoration, further demonstrating the struggle and complexity of their relationship. It is in these ways that different perceptions of love make Christopher's human relationships complex and unique. So we have a standard introductory statement in which a conceptual idea is stated. People can experience and express love in different and varied ways. That's an idea that's not contingent on the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime existing. It's an idea that exists in the wider world. Always start your essay paragraphs off with an idea that exists in the wider world. And then there's a very subtle, but it's not really a link to the text, but it's starting to link to the text, where we say, "This is especially true of people on the autism spectrum." Then next we have a very clear link to text. And the way that we can tell it's a link to the text is because we state the name of a character explicitly. Christopher's relationships are unique and complex due to his inability to feel love for others in the same way that they feel love for him. So that's almost stating like a thesis that's giving a little bit of context to what we're going to be talking about throughout the rest of the paragraph. Both of these sections here are giving examples about how his emotions are not as visceral. They do not run as deep as the average person, so limited emotion. The next section is showing his distaste for physical contact. And this section details a specific example of him losing his trust, losing his love in a person. And that's when his father lies to him. And then we have a pretty standard conclusion. It is in these ways that different perceptions of love make Christopher's human relationships complex and unique. There are not a whole lot of techniques in this paragraph, but some would be simple language when he says, "Sad is what I felt when I found the dead dog." It's also the rigid nature of this quote, "You get married because you want to live together and have children." And there's almost like an implicit visual imagery in the context of this quote here with the fingers splayed out, and I actually used that for the thumbnail of this video. This is what it's referring to, right? We have definitions being used, and we have this use of ellipses, which has the effect of showing just how much the relationship meant to Ed, because you can almost feel the hesitation, the fear in his voice, because he's hanging on by a thread here, and that's emphasized by the use of ellipses. Now, there's another video that I've done on the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime. There's actually two other videos, but the one that I think is best, and the one that you should definitely watch, is the unique personal voice of Christopher Boone. So click the links in the top right to watch that one, because that one goes in the most amount of depth. That one has the most amount of techniques. That's the one that I think is most crucial to understanding this text as a whole. There's also another one on the subversion of novelistic convention, talking about how the actual text itself is written. How is it constructed? The book itself is full of oddities and strange things. So good luck in your HSC exams, and I'll see you in the next video.